so should men sharpen men. I am your host, Bryant Godine, and I'm joined by my brothers Keith, Danny, and Steve. We're your waiters, serving you accountability and truth. We now bring you to our program, already in progress.
Welcome to the Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. As you heard, I'm Bryant. I'm brought to the table my brothers Keith, Danny, and Steve. I'm going to try to bring you a little bit of truth, a little bit of humor, um, and a lot of accountability. Uh, Before we get into kind of our opening question, just want to check in on my brothers to see how they're doing since the last time. If there's anything new, anything they want to share, anything they want to keep a secret, and they wouldn't share it. Uh, Looks like Danny's out in the woods, so we don't know what he's doing. Maybe he'll tell us, maybe he won't. We'll go in that order. We'll start with Danny.
Yeah, I'm on a classified assignment, but I'm great.
I knew it.
We already knew. See, I told you. I told you.
This
I'm
message was
surprised he
up.
shows. Cool, man. But you've been doing all right. Other than that assignment.
Okay.
So, are you still putting out your inspirational messages? I know May was I
Yeah.
think it was like less than a minute.
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
Okay, man, I'm just asking. Dang, you
Yeah,
know.
but no, we got content coming out every day. Um, and so it's continuous journey where we are partnering with others who want to get back to imaging the all-powerful God and Creator of the universe. So, hope dealer.
Okay. Was it hold on, pain ends?
That's right. Every
Oh,
storm eventually runs out of rain. Show me one that
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, even the one in the Bible stopped after 40 days, right? All right. Steve.
Nah, it hasn't been nothing much going on. This couple last week or so, it's been more just cruising car events. I don't want to see another Mustang. I don't want to see another Corvette for a very long time. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just tired. Just tired.
All right. Jones.
Don't do that. I put some wheels on this amp that I've had for about X amount of years. It's a big amp. And I finally put some wheels on that thing. So I just been wheeling the amp from room to room, having
Just
concerts,
because you can.
just because I can. That's about
That's
it.
good. Cool, cool.
Trying to protect this back of mine.
I don't want your back blown out.
Nah, and this amp will tear it all up. Well, it's heavy. I mean, so but I should have put wheels on this ages ago. And everybody kept saying that, no, I'm good. I got it. Yeah. I don't got
Okay.
it. Well, even if I do, I want to preserve and conserve that energy for some other things.
Ah, okay. Don't tell us what those things are. You know,
So
we all grown folks.
my son think he can beat me in basketball, so I got to conserve the energy
Ooh wee.
Make sure you use
for,
this. Make sure
for
you
the
use
things that
this.
matter.
Use them elbows.
One day it's getting close. I mean, one day it's inevitable. One day it's going to happen, but I'm gonna make him earn it.
Yeah, my son learned it a couple years ago. I had them deceived into thinking that I would always be superior. And then this one day, it was just like, sometimes you can kind of fake it. It's just like, yeah, no, no, hold on. Yeah, y'all go ahead. Now, today I was actually trying to hoop, and I didn't win. And it was just like, hold up. But it's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Passing the torch.
That's it. It has to happen at some point.
No, it doesn't. Uh,
Okay.
Has LeBron James passed the torch?
You're in denial, Bryant.
Yeah.
I am not in denial. He is 9, so I still have time. There's no denial. I still have time.
Right now, he's at an age you can still give, but one day, the inevitable. You're gonna look up and it's gonna be game point, and they're gonna be in the league. So it's like, oh
And I'll
shit.
be like, I let you win.
No,
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to say that.
nah. I don't care what it is. They don't care. I beat dad is the story that is gonna go out.
So what's interesting about that is I remember playing with my dad basketball. It might have been 17. And I was in like church shoes. I don't know why we were out there and I was in church shoes and I beat him and he looked at me and he was hurt. And I was like, what's wrong? He was like, man, you elbowed me as if you don't know me. I was like, Dad, I'm just trying to play basketball. I said, but I'm your father. I've never had anyone be that aggressive on the court. It's like, man, this is how I know to play basketball. If I'm gonna back you down, you're gonna get them bows. Arch rivals.
But
I'm
them
a
Barkley,
hornet.
Oh my goodness.
you
I
do
have to
them
do
Barkley
something.
bowls. That's all right.
And Bill Lambier bows.
Them Bill Lambier
Right.
But I got time. Deuce is 9. I can still outrun him. I can may not be able to like out limbo, but I can still do something.
enjoy it.
We'll play games. He's beat me in Uno. Man. That's something I can't control. Now there's about
Mm.
I think we have 8 different versions of Uno.
Mm-hmm.
Uno flip, Uno attack, Uno minions. I mean, there's just so many different versions.
There are a lot
But
of
one of the things, told him, ain't gonna let you win. Nah, I need you to feel it. I need you to want to win. I'm not gonna let you win. Not gonna let you win. But I got time, so maybe, hopefully, the next time we meet, my head won't be down. Y'all be like, what happened? He beat me. He beat me.
Mhm.
He can outswim me, but hey, I don't get in the water. I stay on land. So cool. All right, so I got this question. Me and a friend of mine, just go by his first name, Lamont, so he can get a shout out. I'm gonna ask this to Keith, but I'm gonna ask this to y'all. Give you a scenario. All right, there is a young person. Young person just graduated from high school, and they were talking about going to college. As we all know, college is not cheap. Even if it's community college, there's still some cost. You can get a scholarship, and there's still some cost. So there were scholarships, but there was some costs associated. And a family relative, they maybe sent out, say, like a GoFundMe or sent out a request, and people donated funds for this 18-year-old. Well, the 18-year-old, 1 week from going, I guess, starting school, decided that they did not want to go to college. Um, and so my friend was like, they owe me they owe me an explanation. I was like, do they? Because they're kind of an adult, and that's, asked, was it about the money? And so the question is, if you were to donate to a cause, and that cause was that person was to change their mind of what that cause is it right to ask for a refund of that donation?
So,
Now, that's the general,
That's
huh?
that's mandatory. What you mean, right?
Sorry.
But
but
why? I mean,
I
they
got a question.
donated.
No. So here's my question. My question is, you're asking just in general because this happens all the time in church.
Nah, see, look, you know where I'm.
And
You
so,
must be looking at my
Mm-hmm.
playbook.
no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if it's a general question or it's focused on this situation and scenario. So it sounds like you're going somewhere. Go
I
ahead.
mean, it was focused on that, but I kind of knew it was going to get tired. Now, let me add in an extra caveat. The person who received the funds was not the person who was intended for. So, say the family member collected the funds, they went out, made purchases on behalf of the young person, gave the young person that. took the receipts and the card they used to pay for this stuff back with them. They're not in the same area. So the young person doesn't have the ability to return these items because either you need the card or you need the receipt. Is that young person still responsible for returning, for making restitution
Yes.
if they change their mind? Okay, I just heard one yes, and I don't even think is it a ventriloquist because I think that was from Steve, but I don't think I heard his mouth move.
It surely was.
Oh, okay, so because it was like yes, I was like what? So I mean, but what are the reason, the rationale why? I mean, can a person change their mind? And once you give something, is it still yours?
That's a better question.
Hmm.
I mean, you gave it.
I
Yeah.
It's
gave it
like if you give it to
like
the
I said before. I gave it, but I gave it for a cause. I gave it for a purpose. I gave it for an
Well,
understanding that my funds would implement or secure or create this. If you're telling me that this no longer is happening, then give me my money. So
Exactly.
plain and simple. Like again, if you change the plan, at least send me a notice or a letter saying our foundation has changed the trajectory of our plan. We will no longer be building a 10-story building. We're going to build a 2-story building. But we appreciate your donation to the cost. Tell me something, but to say I need your money to help me get what I'm trying to achieve and then just completely back out of it and don't say nothing. The next time you come look at like anybody's foundation, next time you come looking for some donations, guess who will not be donating? All the people you screwed over under your
so
name, even if you didn't do it. Like you said, if somebody did it on behalf, but they use your name to do it, if you don't clarify that, it's not going to look good on you.
I'm going to jump in and just kind of play devil's advocate here,
Play with
like
it.
from the book of Genesis. All right, so God forms man out of the dust of the ground, right?
Right.
He breathes into his nostrils the breath of life. Man becomes a living soul. God creates us to be his imagers. We're to image him, the all powerful God and creator of the universe. He is we are his mini me's. All right, and so he creates us for a specific purpose. Now we go off and the female counterpart starts talking to snakes. We're gonna leave that alone for right now. But then the
Hmm.
male counterpart goes off and it's just like, yeah, I ain't gonna live without this. So I'm gonna choose this instead of you. So now we have a flawed human race that is preoccupied to the point where like 3 chapters later, we're just only evil continually. And so the question now begs, okay, how does God answer this question? So when we get to chapter 6 of Genesis, he's grieved that he even made man. I'm sorry I gave y'all breath, and
I'm
I'm
sick
about
of
to
these.
take it back. And so now this is the one instance in the scripture that he has that kind of modality. But in general, like every person who's not serving him has his breath. Like if you cussing with the breath that he gave you. If you fornicating with the that he gave you. Like when you're and last analogy I'll point out is this in Daniel chapter 5, he is there's this king, the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar, and he goes and gets the sacred goblets that were taken from the temple of Jerusalem. He wants to use them for this mess over here, praising the gods of gold, silver, iron, brass, wood, craziness. And so God don't like that because they were supposed to be for special use. And even as crazy as the previous king was, he knew better than to go and take that and to come and do some old foolishness. And so I do think
Mm.
that biblically speaking, we have a precedent to be able to say that when something's intended for special use, that it should be reserved for that. And if
Hmm.
and when we don't, just expect for judgment to come to pass. You know, for somebody to be
Mm.
weighed on the balances and found wanting, for somebody to have a courageous conversation, and the dude who was in that last story in Daniel chapter 5, he lost his life that very night.
Yeah.
And so, like, I ain't saying that the people who owe me gonna die, but
But you did to
But
me.
they did to me.
Right.
But that, but I mean, does that person really owe an explanation if they like, if I didn't know, if up until the goal line, I know I'm going to run, but then I change and pivot for some reason that only makes sense to me. Do I, am I beholden upon you guys by saying, hey, you know what?
I told you, I've
Outside
noticed.
of I didn't do it,
I know those
I,
situations where people were planning to go to school and they were ready to go to school, and as they were getting ready to go to school, family situations, emergencies happened, didn't have enough money, or just didn't or change of plans, and she went to cosmetology school instead. Again, she still needs the money to buy resources and things that she will need for that process, but it was communicated to the people who donated. Thank you, but my plans have changed, and I'm still furthering my education. I'm still bettering myself, but I won't be going to the 4-year university to do it. Um, in that case, the communication is what buffered that anger or that frustration, because like you said, people were like, well, I gave it to you because I thought you were going to school, but technically you still going to a school, so whatever, just keep it. So it gave them the choice to say keep it versus, yeah, I'm calling the audible and I'm keeping your money.
okay.
Now, I think that it doesn't require that a response or anything like that, but require you give me my money back. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if you had sent there and said that I'm going to have a GoFundMe page for such and such and such and such instead of school, what people have given you money then, if that it's like that, and again, being able to have that conversation and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then allowing people to say, hey, keep the money or not, that's something else as well. But no, definitely, you gotta give me my money back, because that's not what it's intended for. And a lot of times the things were given with a one particular intention, and then you go left with something else, and then something happens to you because you went left. Now I kind of feel a certain way or feel responsible because of I helped fund you going left, so give my money back.
yeah, I'll say that just to kind of circle back on the examples that I gave with Genesis and in Daniel chapter 5, God gives us the choice, right? So we can choose to do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot absolve ourselves of the consequences of those choices. Like there's going to be some things that transpire, and so like we can do whatever we want. We can. That's a principle that is from Genesis chapter. Adam, you're free to eat from any tree that you want. You can go where you want. You can do what you want. You can obey me. You cannot obey me. You're not a robot. But just know that while you're free to choose, you're always going to have this principle of reaping what you sow. And so in this context, if I put vegetable oil in my car that I'm sitting in right now, which I'm free to do,
Yes,
I
you
can
can
I can pour water in it.
go for it. Tell me how
Yeah,
that works for you.
that's it. I can pour apple juice in the tank. I'm free to do whatever I
To
want.
do that,
This
and
is my car. But there's going to be some logical reap what you sow moments that are going to follow those decisions that I make. And so in this
Hmm.
context, I think that that's perfectly understandable, as well as all others.
Now, what if the person can't repay?
How? Why not?
Well, if it's
Either
past the deadline, like you can't get your money back. I know from working in financial
uh,
aid, there's a certain date that you have to withdraw by, or the money stays with the school. You can't get it back.
oh, then he going to school. We're gonna make sure he's going to school. He's going to school. Somebody's going to school. Somebody's going to school.
well, if I understand correctly, the money that was collected was taken and things were purchased not by the child, but by
by an
somebody
adult, like
by
a
the
proxy. Yeah.
so the child naturally would not be legally. I mean, depending on how old they are.
may not be responsible for it because they had no access to it. So,
So here's my
but
question though with that.
because their name is on it, because I like I mentioned before, like I mentioned Donald Trump. No, he has people handling his foundations and things, and they were doing some stuff and they got in trouble, but his name is on it. So not only do they not trust the people that work for him, but they don't trust him either. Even if he didn't handle any of those foundations by with his own hands, his name was on it.
Mhm.
So
And but that begs to serve the question: could we have saw this coming? And a lot of times, people, when we're talking about college, a lot of times people push their kids to go to college because maybe that was something that they want to do, or they feel like that's something that just the kid should do, not understanding first and foremost, college is not for everybody, and first and foremost, college is not for everybody at the age of 18. So sometimes we're pushing a narrative that doesn't need to be pushed right now, and now you're stuck in a hot spot because now the kids change his mind because this is not what they want to do, or something maybe it may have come up.
And that reminds me of my situation where, I mean, Steve, Keith, Danny, and I went to the same school from grade school,
Mhm.
high school, and even college. And I picked the college because it was kind of not peer pressure, but it was peer comfortable. I'll say that. Going someplace
What?
where you would know, but I mean, and I gave up like a full ride to another HBCU. And I
You
was
ain't
like,
tell me that,
well,
Brian.
Mm.
you ain't
You
told me
ain't
that
tell.
either.
Yeah,
yeah, I had a full ride because I remember when I was like, wait a minute, when they came up to the forge and they were giving out scholarships and it was like, well, here, Mr. Goodine, you got a 3.45 GPA. Here's $200. It felt like it was a coupon.
It was because it
But
was.
then the person next to me, who was maybe the sergeant in arms for like USM, was like, here's 1,500. It's like, what? I said, we not valuing education or something like that. But I was like, bump that. I'm still going to go because I had a group
Mhm.
of friends, and it was that small little bubble that I was in. I went over. Now, what I know now, I wouldn't be like, oh well, it was cool to know you. I don't need to be on the cover of a CD. I don't need to go to Jamaica or share a small bowl of beans with Danny and like 2 francs. You remember that? That was
The things he was.
yeah,
No,
you barely remember.
it's
But that was what was kind of taught. My parents said you're going to go to college. It wasn't go get a trade, go do this. And then
Mhm.
even our peer circle, we had a different world, which had a big explosion on historically black college attendance, and it was just like that's what you did. Now, as I'm looking at it, and again, I have a 9-year-old, so I have some time. We've told him like it started out. You don't have to go to college, but you got to have a trade. If you choose not to go, you got to have something. And we are very transparent with, this is how much it costs. This is what the work is. Think about that, because praise God, I don't have student loans anymore. But when I had them, it felt like an albatross around my neck. It affected relationships. It affected, marriage. I was ashamed to carry that much debt. So
Mm.
I was like, if this
it's
person, when I heard the story, I was like, when this
racial.
person changed their mind,
Leprosy, black.
yeah, I ain't want to
I'm
share
like,
my,
man,
my debt.
you felt the shame? You felt the shame?
I don't feel ashamed. I don't feel a
I
lot.
felt shame because I was like,
Reparations.
Oh,
Steve know my plan. They never getting that money back.
yeah.
hey
So
man.
y'all pretty much like at the new beach, just walking around like what? Yeah,
Yeah, I got
that's
it.
mine.
That's
Sure
I
mine.
got
did.
it.
Sure
I
did.
got
it
it.
was the amount. Because if you think about it, if you go to an in-state school, it is a third of a cost of certain colleges. Why are we spending so much to get virtually the same education? It's,
Brian, you have no idea. I
Yep.
went to a out of state college, a private out of state college.
that's where we went.
Oh, okay.
But where
Mm,
the donations was, I mean, what I had to work during the summer. I think I had 4 jobs in
Yeah,
addition to singing, making cold calls. Would you like
only
to
paid for
donate
registration.
$20 for
They-
24 months?
That
The
ain't
2024 plan.
that didn't even touch the actual tuition. That just paid for registration and dorm fees. So,
right. Let alone you
So
have to
that's
uh,
why I was
live
like, if the
and
person
eat.
changed their mind, there might be a valid reason, but are they
But
beholden
that talk,
upon returning that? Yeah.
but that talk has to be done well before then you go out and put a GoFundMe page. It's like, hey, the conversations, hey, look, we're putting out a GoFundMe page for people to help you. Are you sure this is what you want to do? There
Well, they
cannot
said
really be
yes.
any backseas at, and they said
well,
yes at that point in time.
this is an
Yeah,
18 year
at
old.
that point they said yes, but I'm
This is an
saying a
18
week
year old.
before, no.
This 18-year-old hybrid, and I'm and
Yeah,
I don't.
I've had three 18-year-olds, and
Yeah,
so
and
I
this
can say
18-year-old
that.
hybrid, they don't know because think about it. I'm going through this right now. You got all you had to do for the last 12 years is get up, go to school, get up, go to school. Now you hit 18 and you're supposed to know what you're doing for the rest of your life.
Yep.
So that's
And a
my
lot of
point.
times you do it because
That's my point.
you see
Hmm.
everybody in your class, like Bryant said, senior year, everybody's bringing their notes, their letters to school. I got accepted here, I got accepted there, and you seeing all these people excited about people who are going to college. Nobody's excited about the trade people. Nobody, nobody seems excited about you needing a gap year to figure out what you want to do. But being patient enough to see these kids through and not feel like they're failures because they don't know and they genuinely don't know.
Hmm. Hmm.
So sometimes
And
they'll be
that's the
excited.
but that but yeah, but
But
that's the point though, understanding that and knowing that it's like, okay, well then maybe not go to a place where we have to spend so much money in order for you to go to college. What's wrong with community college? People
nothing.
downplay community college so
Mm.
bad, and it's like, hey, you can get community college for a third of the price, and it's sometimes it's the teachers teaching at the 4 year universities, they teach at the community colleges too.
They do.
So instead of
They
just
absolutely
saying, hey, you know what, there may be some things going on or whatnot. So maybe not a 4 year college. Let's look at a community college. Let's try that out first instead of then putting all the eggs in this particular basket. Then it backfiring on you. Now you looking stupid because it's like, well, all these people helped you, and now you didn't even really need it because you changed your mind. Because like you said, Keith, you're 18. So why not? Don't make the stakes so high at this point. Go to a community college. Nothing's wrong with that.
Nah, nothing. Get those first 2 years out the way. Most of them are prerequisites.
they are.
By
They,
then you'll know what you want to do, or you have the opportunity to pivot.
you know how
And
many?
you might
Exactly.
not know what you want to do, but
I was
pick
gonna say,
something, finish it, and then
figure it out.
like most adults that I know ain't did nothing that they studied in school.
Mm-mm.
It was
I'm one of
straight
them.
into, okay, who wants to pay me, twice a month? But you will, okay. What do y'all want me to do? Oh, okay, all right. I guess that's what I'm doing.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I
For the
did
next 30,
marketing
40
and HR,
years.
and I'm in public health.
Pretty much. I know most of the people
Wow.
I know are not doing what they did in their undergrad. Most
By
of the
far.
people I know, they even masters sometimes.
Hmm.
It's what they got out, they found their niche later doing something sometimes totally
Hmm.
different, not even in the same ballpark.
Hmm.
I just
So,
wanted some letters behind my name, and I ain't have a kid yet, so
but
it couldn't have been senior.
that's what we were told. We were told we would get opportunity. We would have all these things, this
Man,
money, this house, and the picket fit. Like we told, if we went to school, our lives would be totally different.
The great deception. What lie? What I always say, Keith, when I said what you get your lie in? When I'm asking somebody about their degree, what you get your lie in? Because it's the great lie. It's the great deception, and it's not fair because then after you do what you're supposed to do, and then you have this debt of $100,000 to $200,000 if you go to this
Whew.
prestigious school. But what happens if you're only making $50,000 to $60,000 a year? How am I supposed to pay this back? Get a house, start a family, get a car. Come on, it doesn't make
preach.
it's a big
Keep
deception. It's a
preaching.
big
I need to be
lie.
baptized,
it,
Steve. You got a baptismal
it's a
pool?
lie. It's not fair. But you know what? They're getting their comeuppance because a lot of kids are like, I'm not doing this. This is a lot of kids are saying, oh, this is stupid. This doesn't make any sense at this point in time when we're talking about making money. I'm going to go into debt to make a little bit of money. No, this is foolishness. This so we have to restructure even
Not
how
just
we
that.
what we even talk about when it comes to education.
It's major debt, not even just a little bit of debt.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. It's a
A
mortgage. It's a
lifetime,
mortgage.
a lifetime of
It
debt.
is a lifetime of debt, and you want me to sign up for a mortgage, which is also a lifetime of debt. So,
That's 30 years.
what's the point?
It's 30 years.
Unless you make enough, like again, unless you find ways around it. So, Bryant, if I knew you had a full ride, I would have fought you
I probably would
because
have fought you too, Brian. Yo,
Well,
I
that's
see
why
you
we're on
for years,
StreamYard.
bro. Like, just find you a Philistine woman like Samson, one that pleases you well, right over
Philistine.
there, and it's just like it'll be all good, bro.
Yeah, it was what, to
You know,
Bowie
I
State?
mean, not to
Yeah.
be like that, but we went amongst our own people, and we know what that looks. I'm sorry. Let's go back.
so speaking on, because we now that we've been in this game, this long, and we've seen, we were taught success was one way. We're seeing success is a different way. What is success from like your perspective? And how has society, I would say, either poisoned the water, or how can you say that this is still successful? It may not be your success, but it's still successful. Because what I've seen is that if we're all going for the same prize, only one of us is going to get it, and the rest of us is going to feel bad. I mean, we're going to feel less than, and it might carry over into other things. So, you know, I've seen that success is changed. No longer is it, going to college. It might be going to trade. It might be investment, starting off really small. It might be entrepreneurship. It might be, there's so many different things. Or it might just being okay in your skin. But what is success from a man's perspective? Because we also have to factor in that, we have women in our lives that have their own view of success and their success for us. And so what is it from, a man's perspective? Yeah,
I would say I would say from my perspective over the years, just understanding certain levels of success, my own personal view of success is freedom. Understanding how free it feels to not only own your own and do your own after being quote unquote, I call it enslaved after all these years. A lot of people ask, well, how come they don't have slaves anymore? I said, well, because we voluntarily go into slavery ourselves after going into college, going into work, doing these particular things, giving our lives 40 hours a week, you know, after coming from that to then owning your own and doing your own and walking your own, it's my idea of success is just having that freedom to go to and fro without having to look at, going into particular a particular building 40 hours a week for pennies. You understand what I'm saying? And these are things that they don't teach you in school. So looking at freedom and being able to not have to, I'm not going to say answer to anything, but being able to call your own shots and to be able to have that opportunity to not be having somebody always over your shoulder. What I mean, because as we all know, we can go into a job and have very good intentions of the interview process. Hey, you need me to do this. Okay, you know what, I can bring this, I can provide this, I can do this, I want to do this, I want to change this, X, Y, Z. Oh yeah, we want you. And then when you get in the job, guess what? Oh, you know what? No, not this, not that. And that could be very discouraging when for people that actually want to help and change things,
that can be. It
So
is.
I would definitely
Got
say freedom. Success for me would definitely be just freedom and understanding that I am not um a slave in the system anymore.
Okay. Keith, Danny, I mean, is success tied to money only?
Well, for
Mm,
me, it's multifaceted. One of the verses that I kind of hang that success hat on is Luke 2:52, where it says, "And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man." So
And
it's multifaceted. It's
Mhm.
not one thing. Like he grew. I was even studying this morning in Luke chapter 1. It was talking about how John, the son of Zachariah and Elizabeth, he grew. So it's like the continuous growth, holistic growth and development, that encompasses all things, because we can be rich in one area and steeped in poverty in another. Like just the people who have money. Sometimes I think it was Bob Marley who said if something along the lines of, you know, all you have is money. It's something about
Oh,
like how poor you are. I have to
yeah,
look
you
it up.
still,
I can't do
yeah,
it. Yeah, if
it'll come
you're
to me.
yeah you're really poor if all you have is money. Is what he's something along those lines.
Isn't that something poor people say?
Say again.
No,
I said, isn't that something that poor people say? Like, you ain't got, if you all you got is money, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah,
no,
well, I mean,
that's a
even the Bible
proud
does say
thing.
money is the answer to everything. I mean, you definitely need money to be able to do stuff. Even ministry. Like if you're doing ministry, you can't do ministry without money. Jesus had a money bag. All right,
We
that's
know because
why
these pastors keep
Judas.
asking us for money. But go on.
Yeah, you gotta have money. But it's going back to your question. It's multifaceted to me. Like to see how the Bible describes Jesus's growth and development. I want the same to be said about me. That I am well rounded, that I don't just have material abundance, that I have a spiritual wealth, that I have a relational wealth, that I have um, um, a well rounded package. And it kind of goes back to something that I heard. I never, ever, ever forgot it. I was sitting in Moran Hall upstairs, and they were doing like it was alumni weekend where they were coming and doing like career day. And I think I asked the question, like, what was success? We were talking to some really successful people, and they had a lot of different things. And one of the men, when asked the question, hey, what would be your ultimate measure of success based on what you achieved? And he said these words. He said, being a good father. And I said, interesting. Like it had nothing to do with the
I feel
degree, with his accolades, with his career, because at the end of life, who is wishing for more time or for more money or for more material, more awards or plaques on the wall? Who's wishing for that? No, we're wishing for more time with the ones who count most. And like that is kind of how I'll hang my hat. Like holistically, growing in the areas of life that matter most. That's success to me. Because if you're wealthy in one area, but you're in poverty in another, what is that? That's not the divine model where he's just like, hey, life and life more abundantly.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, success is along the lines of some of what was said before. It's not just a monetary uh, destination. For me, it is those things that that are you can't really. It's hard to score them. Is again being a good father, being a friend. Like it's hard to. It, it actually doesn't have anything to do with money some days. As I look at what I personally value, I look at growth. Like Danny said, am I still in the same place I was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago? Because I work with people, and Steve can attest to this. When you've been traumatized, you get stuck. So, am I still stuck? Am I still walking around with the mentality of a 13, 14, 15-year-old? I look at growth as so many different things, and wealth, so many different things outside of money. Success is failure. Success is learn, but not just failure, but learning from those failures. Um, su- Success, because you don't get to those places where you grow and you have that I'll call it worldly success without going through certain chapters of loneliness, failure, uh, uh, just disappointment. And I think without experiencing those, you don't get to a place of success. because there are chapters of life where we have to go through things. And to me, I define my success on my ability to connect with God, because that's ultimately who determines for me my success. My degree doesn't do that. My degree, I don't care if I write 100 books. If I don't have, if I'm not, for me, if I'm not connected to the source, which I believe is God, then I won't be successful. I'll have stuff, but I won't be successful. And so for me, that I feel like when there's a gap there, that that limits most of our success, because we don't know what we're doing and we don't know who we're doing it for. So I'll
You
stop
know what?
there.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I got a follow up. I'm sorry, I know you're probably about to say something too, but I want to add a follow up question to what Keith was saying about when it comes to um relationship with God and the notion of success or whatnot. But I'm sorry, you just remind me to ask that. 'Cause I know you were about to
No,
say
go and
something.
answer because this was about to
Okay.
be a pivot moment. So
Um, my question for everybody is, when we're talking about success and we're talking about in a relationship to God, what would you qualify as having a successful relationship with God? And I asked this question because I asked Keith a question earlier this week about, does he hear God? Like, do you hear an audio voice of God? You know what I mean? When you look back in the Bible, you hear how God would talk to the people, God walked amongst people. It sounds and it looks like, people heard an audio voice of God, or maybe the image or whatever it may be. But my question to everybody is, when we're talking about success and we're talking about our relationships with God, how do you define your success with having a relationship with God, and do you hear God? And when you hear God, is it more of an emotion, or is it more of a audio thing? Or because we were talking about, like, sometimes if people say they heard something or they hear voices, we put them in the loony bin. But at a certain point in time,
The
are we
loony
hearing
bin.
God? Like I know I'm probably dating myself by saying that and whatnot, but again, I just would like to, kind of pick your brains on that, because it's an interesting thing to where say, like, do we actually hear God, and how do you differentiate hearing God from hearing your own voice? That voice in your head.
Yeah. So for me, my response to that question is, um, like I build my faith on the Bible, God's word. So
Hmm.
it it's the Constitution. Right? So it's the Supreme Court authority.
Mm,
So by which everything is judged. So if there's a thought that I
Hmm.
have or an impression that comes upon me, if it's in line with the Word of God, then I take that as
Hmm.
God. And so I will say that's an impression. So, like, to put it in perspective, let's say I am, let's take the fifth commandment since it's right in the middle, right? So if I'm out here um, cussing and fussing and stealing from my parents because they're old and senile, and like I'm not honoring them, that's not going to sit right in my spirit.
mm,
Why? Because I know that there's a whole principle that has a whole promise to it
Hmm.
that says when I live in
Hmm.
line and in harmony with this, blessings will come. And when I'm out of harmony
Hmm.
with it, I'm gonna have that thought in the back of my head. Yeah, I know this is wrong. I know. You know what? I'm
Hmm.
this. I'm about to get a nail in my tire tomorrow. I'm about to have a tax lien to come on my. I wouldn't expect for blessing to come upon me when I'm out of harmony. And so, for me, when you have the thought that is in line with your belief system, for me, that's the Bible. Um, I take that as God. And so success in spiritual things is my life in harmony with it. So I got a guitar right here. And so I always got an instrument. But there's a thing called these tuners. And if it's
Hmm.
not in tune,
Hmm.
it ain't going to sound good.
You'll know.
terrible.
You'll know. You just know.
Yeah, everybody going to know.
why is it always
And so
Exactly.
is my life in tune with the frequency of heaven?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
by doing that, I'll have success. I'll be able to make music with my life, and everyone will benefit and enjoy.
Mm. Mm.
Um, I'll say for me, I grew up in Christian
Go ahead and
education.
collect the offering
So,
for this man. Go ahead. Collect.
yeah, I grew up in Christian education, so it was around 24/7 in the same building 7 days a week. But for me, success is the fact that I still want to do right. I may not always do right, but the wanting to do right. And, God's voice is kind of like my own. It's my conscience. It sometimes his voice comes through my friends, through my brothers. Y'all kind of ground me when I want to do wrong, and I tell y'all, y'all laugh, and I'm like, you wasn't right, right? And I'm like, leave me alone. But you called me, like, shut up. But that's God. I see success with God is that, again, that I want to do right when everything in me says that I should be doing wrong, that I think differently and I move differently. Like I was watching, Ben-Hur, but of course it's also in the Bible, where, it said, love your enemies, forgive those that, persecute you, do the exact opposite of what the world says do. And even if it's for a pause, that pause is God, that wind blowing. God. I mean, God can be in anything and everything. You just have to, as Danny said, just have, even if I'm not on like 90, 95.5, but I'm on 95.3, it's enough to hear it even in the static of life. And so for me, that's at least spiritually, that's success.
All right, sir.
I mean, hey, that Christian education does something.
Take an offer for this man too. Dropping nuggets. Y'all good.
Oh, come on, Jones. You got a word.
No.
About to take us to the mountaintop.
You guys have done it. I don't need to. You guys are This is beautiful. No. No. This is
It's like after the sermon, the elder gets up. He got to do his little sermon.
right.
His little
No,
sermon.
Pastor, that was a word.
And how many times have we seen that? Oh my gosh. The pastor has preached, has brought us a good word, good substance. And if I could just hold you for a few more minutes, dessert to this word. And then you're here for another 30, 40 minutes.
Sit there like,
Oh no.
Like
what?
making no sense. Making no sense.
You saying Nicodemus found Jesus during the daytime?
Back up because it was very competitive between the two of them, and it was about having the last word. Oh yeah, people walked out. People walked out. Now, thank you, Elder. Thank you. He snatched the mic. Thank you, Elder. Thank you. Now we're gonna pray, and then he did this big, long, elaborate prayer. Then after he prayed, the Elder had something he wanted to say.
Oh no. Now see. Now. God ain't talking to them because this ain't part of God's plan right there.
God didn't have this in the message. The first part might have been the message, but everything after that has been pride and ego.
This is why I work in AV. I have a comment for all that.
But again, what is deemed successful? A lot of pastors feel that in order to be successful, I have to run my church, and I'm the head, and nobody,
You're the shepherd, right?
But some people don't want their sheep to speak. They just, you go over there, sit down, shut up. I got this.
Use that rod.
I've been held at this church for the past 30 years. It's basically my church. So success. I realized this while I was serving at church. There's a lot of people who they don't have anything else. I'm trying to be careful.
Nothing else to do.
So when they come to places where they feel they can control, they go overboard because they have no other control in their life and anything else. So that becomes success. Right. I'm bringing it up because that becomes success to them. Like I'm successful if I can control everybody at my church because it's my church.
But that's only 2 hours out a week. My fault.
Shoot,
5 hours out the week
That's a
because they
lot.
add some stuff.
That's a lot of power. It's still a
Yeah,
lot of power. It's
what I've learned is that here's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship is because everybody has the capacity to be the king of their domain. Because when we
mm-hmm,
have no
mm-hmm,
other area of authority, we end up trying to lord over our wives. We end up trying to fight over position in the church,
mm-hmm.
even the military. Like wherever there is a position to be gained, we gonna just it's gonna become
Gotta get.
too way too
Mm-hmm,
weighty in order to it
mm-hmm.
becomes your identity. You don't
Yep.
have anything outside of
Nothing else.
that. And
So when you
so
lose that, you ready to jump off the bridge.
I think yeah, you really are. You
Yeah.
literally are
mm-hmm.
ready to jump off
That's
of a
just the
bridge when you
title.
lose that. When in
But
reality
that's
each
why.
person go ahead.
Oh no, that's I was just going. I'm piggyback on what you're saying. That's why I said about the freedom, being free to be able to own your own and have your own that you essentially control. So that
Yes.
definitely speaks to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely
so
speaks to what you're saying.
this is a pivoting moment because I don't want to lose this, and I see we've been on for about 50 minutes. Okay, I'll say this. My assumption is that success from a woman's viewpoint is safety, security, and protection. What if
Mm,
your success doesn't touch upon those things for her? Do you
she gotta
change
go.
your success? See, can I get the question out? Can I get the question out,
She
Steve?
got to go. So
No, but I mean, what do you what do you do? Do you like how, and this is for those brothers that might be listening to this, it might get to their eardrums. Like, what if my success is A and her determination of success is C? How
it's
do I change me to
no,
or
mm-mm.
do where where's that middle point? Like, how do you yeah, where is it?
You gotta be on the same page. How can two walk together unless they agree? I talked to a brother recently who was the stay at home mom. Like he was
Oh,
stay at
cool.
home dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, call him what he is. He stay home there. We can't be
Yeah,
stay at home moms.
yeah, no,
We're
no, no,
stay
no.
at home
He was a stay at home dad, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out for him because her
mm,
view of him was greatly diminished because the traditional role of husband house band is protect provide, and she's out here being the breadwinner. So even though he was contributing to the home and it was appreciated, it gave her too much power over um yeah, I said it, Keith. You got I said it out loud.
there.
Now some people like even like Lord of the Rings, like some people can handle power, most people can't. Like most people are going to like use it in
Use.
a way
my my
that is
my precious.
yeah. And so I think that there has to be some kind of unity because if there's not two people on the same page, and if you're misusing something,
But what happens when? Because a lot of people start out on the same page, and I've used this example before
yeah,
with the guy
absolutely.
that would get a job, and he liked being a plumber, and he's making decent money. He's doing pretty well, but his wife is like, "No, you need to start a business. Then you need to hire 10 people. Then they need to hire 10." Like she has a whole vision of what he needs to do, but he's like, "I'm just happy getting up, going to work, and I got my little side. I got my main job, and I got my little side projects. Between those two, I make more than enough money." But she's like,
But Keith,
"No,
what
you
you
can
said,
title."
yeah, Keith,
But
Keith, what
her
you
vision
said
of
from the
success
beginning,
is what's that?
yeah, it's skewed. What you said from the beginning is a falsehood. A man and a woman in a relationship are never on the same page initially, ever, ever. They're never on. They're different. They're
Preach.
never on the same page. And that's okay. That's
Say
okay.
that.
Being
It's
able to come
okay.
to the table and
How do we
say
get on the same page?
that,
How do we
Wait,
be
wait,
opposite?
wait. Say it again for the people in the
but
back.
man and a woman are never on the same page
We
initially. And sometimes here's the thing. It's not always a good thing to be completely on the same page all the time. And I'll say what I say. A lot of times, if we're on the exact same page, now we're competing against each other to do the same thing. You know, sometimes we have to have some differences to complement each other. At that way, and then we compromise on certain things too. We come together, compromise, meet in the middle because essentially we are different. A man and a woman are completely different in their thought processes. It's not to say that we can't
I
get along,
compromise on
but
something,
having an
though.
understanding that we're different, we can come together, talk about those differences, see where we can compromise, come into the middle, meet in the middle, and execute at a certain point in time. Sometimes if we think that we're on the same page, then you're not. Then you're not. If we think we're on the exact same page, then you're not. Because something is going to happen, as you see. Later on down the line, something is going to happen. Well, I thought that you said, yeah. But see, here we go. Now, here we go. Here we go. Now, so that then sometimes signifies the beginning of the end.
Or
Go ahead, Jones.
or just a constant moving target.
That
There you go.
the goalpost move.
The goalpost moves. So
Yeah,
so
it's
it,
like
it's getting to a place where we understand what we're looking at and what we're looking for, so we can get on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If we said the goal is
Mm-hmm.
to get a new car and we get a new car, I want to hear in a few days, I like the car, but
But
or
yeah.
but
I'm a little triggered right now because I think that several of us in this space have created what it was that significant others were looking for, and then
ooh-wee.
like, wait, you still not?
The
Wait, how we get so like to the point where y'all are just
mm,
completely just everything that
I
you
ain't
said
gonna
you
lie.
wanted, we right now have.
And yet you still want something different or more. Or more. More. It's never
no,
going to stop.
not different,
Never going to
more,
stop. More, more,
more.
and more,
And so
more. There
again,
ain't no more.
how do you find success? Is it possible to find success in a relationship like that, or
No.
do you have to be,
I'm
or
glad you said it like that because I was
all,
like, if you,
but how do you cap it and be realistic? And then, because again, I've heard this from some of the people I've talked to, when he's given that realistic cap, like, okay, I can afford this, but no, baby, I can't buy you a Lamborghini or a Maserati. I can get you a nice little Honda Civic, brand new, hybrid, whatever. No, it wasn't a Civic. It was like it was like a Lex. It was a nice car. It just wasn't the Tesla she wanted. She
With the
wanted the
sunroof, they had the sunroof too.
yes, right, right. Sunroof. It's a hybrid. It was a Honda Accord or something like that, where it's still he felt like it was brand new, never driven before, like 2 miles on the thing or something crazy. But she wanted her Tesla, and he's like, I get that, but right now, based on where we are financially, we putting 2 kids in private school. Like he laid out all these things of it wasn't a good decision, and here are the financial reasons why. Like, and so this lady proceeded to drag her husband all over social media and throughout anybody who wanted to listen, even in the sessions.
Wow.
He don't want to do he
So
and he
we as a community should have been holding her accountable for her dragging her husband through the mud because he ain't have to do that. She could have got something to use, or he could have got her a bike
he good
or
right.
some skates.
Here's your skateboard. Get out my face.
Here's a bus pass. You want a car, you get it yourself. Then since it's
Or like
you see
Daddy
what I'm saying?
said,
So,
deuces.
right. So us as a
Christian was
community.
going to do this.
Here's the thing. The reason why she did that is because when she went to online to drag him through the mud, I bet you there was people co-signing her BS. So that's
Of
why
course,
she
of course
did
you
it.
did it.
So
All
us as a
the
community,
time.
us
Ain't
as a
no
community, we gotta hold them accountable, men and men too, women and men. We gotta hold each other accountable and say, no, that's your husband. First and foremost, don't put your business out in the street. Second of all, be grateful for what you have.
yeah.
That's
What is
it.
that?
This
What
That's
is
ain't.
it.
that? Like y'all seen the
I,
video where the woman's going to the husband store, and so like this floor is men who have jobs. This floor
Oh,
is men who have like, and they get to the point where they go up to the next floor, and it's just like there are no men on this level, and you can't go down. You stuck. because what you looking for doesn't. You should have been happy to get what you got.
Oh, you got to send me that video. You got to send me that
Yeah,
video. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's
it's fun.
beautiful.
Yeah, just type in
Oh,
husband store. Type in husband store, and it should
I'm
come
doing
right
that
up.
right now.
Yeah. So I know we're at an hour, but
I mean, I can go. It's y'all. You out in the wilderness. Keith is where he is. Don't want to disclose his
In
location.
relationships, it is hard to find. I mean, it's constant communication to find
Yeah.
mutual success. Their goal, like I said, we both come in, like Steve said, with our own individual goals of what is supposed to happen here, and getting on,
Mhm.
I'll say, getting on God's page first, and then and then bringing our two plans together and trying to implement them together. It's a
Let's see what's up.
challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can be done.
And it's supposed to be.
Because on, like I said
Mhm.
before, they flip side of this where some of their pressure, I might, I'll admit
say it,
that
say
some of
it.
the pressure is actually good for us.
Yes.
A lot of us
Mhm.
would not move
Mhm.
or would not travel or would not go anywhere. We would not
You
push
ain't
ourselves
never
to
had a
do
lie.
we would
There you
not push
go. Yep.
ourselves to do more if they didn't say,
Yep.
hey, I see, hey, what about, hey, you should be doing. So a lot of times we got to take that and actually own that. But it's like you said, like, well, not like you said, like I said, when does it stop though? Okay, now that you've
But
done
you know
this,
what?
you need to be
But with
president.
that, but with that, Keith, here's another question. And maybe I don't know if we got time for it, or maybe for another
I
time.
got time.
Do we give our spouses accolades? Do we say good job to our spouses? Do we say, you know what, that was cool, good job? Do we do that? In
We
what
It's,
celebrate.
it's hard for
in
some
what
men.
ways? Yeah, there we go. Do we celebrate our
Are,
spouses
are we
when
allowed to
they're
celebrate before we win the prize?
mm,
I mean, encouragement. That's what encouragement is. That is celebrating before the prize.
No, I believe in it because sometimes they're right and sometimes they do great things that warrant celebrating. And not even just great things. I think again, women are good for doing a lot of the small things that we don't even always see as men. And I will say that because I do know a lot of wives who are, because some of the wives are doing the same thing. Some of the husbands do a lot of the micromanaging behind, or a lot of and they're more detail oriented than we are in a lot of times. So there are a lot of things that they can do just by even setting. Again, I was reminding one wife how just her ability to create a calm atmosphere in their house. He mentioned it, but I kind of highlighted because he kind of glazed over it. But I was like, go back. You talked about how she can completely come into a chaotic home, and her level of clean and organization allows him to just drift into a place where like he could because like a lot of us, we can't concentrate when there's a lot of mess around. It throws our brains off for some of us. But when it's clean and it's organized and they can it changes that for him. So
mm.
his narrative that she doesn't do enough, he wasn't seeing how much she's actually doing. So
Yeah, and I think that
intentionally
if you have good friends to remind you of that, it's, like I said, you could be in a moment and or have gone through some things that and
But you got
it's
to
hard to
realize who
see.
you married to. You got to realize who you married to and see things for what they are. I've had a couple where the man was just saying, "Hey, just once, I would like for you to just say thank you," or just she says, "For what? That's what you're supposed to do. That's why am I thanking you for that? That's what you're supposed to do." And I
Where's my
just
censor button?
sometimes us as a therapist, it's kind of hard to we won't say it, but then it's all over our face. Because I'm thinking like, oh my god,
yeah.
but it's a
I,
wake up
I
call for him. It's a wake up call for him. This is what you have right now.
yeah.
She's not changing, so now you got to make a move
I'm
because she's
losing my
not going to
patience.
give you
I'm
what it is that you
sorry.
need.
I can't. I tried not to say anything, but now my face is just saying it all. Like, oh Lord, here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this what you
I've been
supposed to do.
in
You
spaces
can say
where like the therapist will look. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he just said? You just heard her, right?
it.
That's who you
This
married.
what you're getting.
Like this
This
is
is
what
what
you
you.
have. Like
I ain't telling you what
understand
to
that.
do, but this is what you get.
It's true. When you see certain things, you see certain things, and it's hard
Hmm.
because either they already know, or again, like a lot of people got married hoping to change that person. Well, once we get
Ooh,
married,
Jesus
I'll
Christ, that's a
and
whole nother story.
that's
Ooh,
another
Lord have
All right,
mercy.
we're gonna
Yeah.
have to
Mm.
we're gonna have to make this a part two, man. We're gonna have to make this a
right.
part two.
But
Um,
success does require two people communicating, because we always have different thoughts, different needs, different desires, different goals, and getting on the same page
Yep.
does help. But again, assigning different roles to knock out things, like Steve said, beautiful thing. It is.
all right, fellas. Well, we've come to that point where we gotta wrap it up. Any parting words, final thoughts? Anyone want to make an order for a shake weight? Join me on my shake weight journey.
I remember the first time I saw that commercial though.
SNL made it.
Yeah,
It's
they did. I think I don't know what I saw. No, that was worse. I worked the midnight shift and I woke everybody up in that house from laughing. uh,
Mm.
I'll keep my hands down.
I didn't know
No,
what shake weight was, but in any case, the final thoughts. I'm sorry.
you don't need a moment. Danny, give us your final thoughts, because Keith don't need a moment. Shake weight mode.
Yeah, I guess my final takeaways on the heels of our discussion about like men and women is expectations the mother of all frustration. Communicate. Communicate as best you can. If you need,
Mhm.
get help to communicate. I've got like resources to help people do that, but like pay for some help to do it as well, because it's much better to have someone else say it. It can oftentimes be more easily or better received than when you're trying to say the same thing that you've been saying for a couple of days, weeks, months, years, decades.
Mm,
Cool.
mm, mhm. My parting words is I second exactly what Danny is saying. Definitely get help. Wow. As soon as the devil don't want me to say what I need to say, because it sure
Go
did
on and say.
go off
Go on
real
and
quick.
say.
Rebuke the
Jesus.
devil.
But no, I was saying I definitely second what Danny is saying. Definitely getting help, as well as you know, talking with somebody about communication issues. Um, but on the other lines of what we were talking about before too, when we're talking about just your spiritual journey and your spiritual relationship with God and the Most High, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that is something that has been frowned upon so many years, especially with church and in our community, is about even asking questions about religion, about God or whatnot. You just, no, ask questions. It's okay to ask questions.
Right, that's what's up. Uh Final thoughts. Success comes from finding God, because that He is the architect and the designer of who we are and who we are to be. And I believe that finding success without Him, or what we deem as success without Him, just leads to emptiness and a greater void.
Mm.
So getting into a space and a place where you're doing what God has called you to do, even if you don't make $10 million a year, there's gonna be a peace and a contentment with the work that you do, or the space that you're in. So just helping. I know we talked a lot about success today, but helping, if any guy is listening and trying to figure out what will benefit him or bring him life, is definitely not always money. Now we need it to do some of the things we need to do, but success has doesn't have as much to do with finances as we think. So uh,
So, and I'll just say that
final words.
success is your definition. It's not my
Mhm.
definition. It's not Keith, Danny, or Steve's. It is your definition. So, what you deem as success is successful, and you have achieved that goal. Share that with someone. Share your view of success, because maybe the other person just does not understand that too can be successful. And even if they don't accept it, the main thing is that you accept it, because we are all just part players in your life. So set your own definition, move forward in that piece. And as always, we thank you for just coming to the table. Hopefully you left with some truth, some accountability, and a little bit of laughter. Iron Table.
Well, it's closing time. We are glad you stayed with us this long. The bill? Oh, we tore that up. For truth and accountability are free. You want to leave a tip? Sure, we take your money, but what's even better is if you share this with someone you know, for there's always room for more at the Iron Table.